Hello everybody, my name is Rotham, and this is going to be an Astrox Imperium tutorial video. As you can see, we are on build 94A, and due to the fast-changing nature of Astrox Imperium, I would just like to say up front that anything in this video is subject to change relatively quickly. So, the very first thing we have here is the main menu screen. There are two options you probably care about here, which is New Campaign and Sandbox. I highly suggest just starting a new campaign. Currently, this is more of a testbed sandbox type deal. You'll make a character, select a starting faction, and all that. And that's generally where most people want to start. However, we also have the Sandbox. The Sandbox allows you to create basically whatever kind of map you want. As you can see, we have all kinds of tabs here, and in each tab there's a number of sliders where you can set up literally just about every kind of setting in the game. Game speed, turrets, your mercenary stuff, your skybox backgrounds, warp gates, just about everything. We're going to avoid that for now and go into the actual campaign with a new character, just so I can show you guys how to get started. Skip this cutscene to avoid spoilers. We will name our pilot Test Pilot for the time being. And that will do. Let's just randomize a couple times. So here is the first real choice you will make in the game. Your starting faction. There are a number of starting factions, each with their own unique backgrounds and abilities. In the current build, 94A, your choice here doesn't really matter quite so much. Once the storyline is added in, it'll have a bit more effect on your actual gameplay. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll simply go with the Alpha section. Your profession is basically the same as your starting faction. However, it does give you some starting bonuses. You can choose a profession entirely independent of which faction you chose. For example, Prospectors get a bonus 3 starting levels to Minor Basic Operation, a level in Minor Advanced Systems, Laser Basic, Passive Scan, Passive Scanner Focal. While something like an Enforcer gets some more combat-focused things with Laser Basic Operation, Beam Basic Operation, Torpedo Basic Operation, and so on. Keep in mind that these are only your starting levels, a quick boost to get you started in the game. Astrox Imperium is quite open-ended, and you can eventually learn all the skills if you choose to put in the time to do so. There are no limits based on what your initial starting profession is. So for the sake of this tutorial, we'll be a prospector, get some extra mining levels in, and off we'll go. So here we have the welcoming kiosk. This will give you initial background lore to the Astrox Universe, as well as teach you some basic controls. For the time being, I will skip through this, although I highly suggest you read through the in-game tutorials yourself in order to get a basic familiarization with some of the systems. Because it's already covered in-game, I'm going to skip through all of this and try and cover some things that are not covered in the game tutorials. Okay. So, as you notice, I have a mission pop-up here, but we'll get to that later. First, I actually need to check my settings because something's really weird here. My UI skill got reset. Do take a look at this, guys. You do want your UI scale to be somewhat in line with your computer, or you might have some problems with buttons and text and all that. While we're here, I'll also explain some of these options. User interface is pretty simple. It changes your colors. UI scale, very important. And then we have all of our visual options. Personally, I would recommend you take off the bloom setting. Our dev, Momoguru, who's made this game single-handedly, went a little bit overboard with the current build. And that looks like everything will be fine. Oh, that's a nice blue. We'll go with that for now. Alright, so as you can see, we start in this really awesome looking structure. This is a station. As you can see off to the right here, it is called Biomate University in Void Starcross. Now, regardless of which faction you choose, currently you will be recovered at Biomate University, which is a part of the Alpha faction. I will explain more on that later. Now, stations are the beating heart of Astrox Universe. This is where all the economy happens, trade, buying, ship repair, and every other such thing. You'll notice off to the right here, we have a large menu. And it's important to note that not all stations will have all of these options. Biomate University, being the main testing station, just automatically has everything unlocked for simplicity of testing at this stage in the game. So we'll go over some of these. Your lounge. This is where you'll see news. You can hire mercs, and you can add entertainment for those mercs. We'll get into mercs later on. News is very important. It tells you about what the event generator in the background of the game is doing, and it will give you important information that will help you be more efficient while playing the game. It is not strictly necessary to follow up on this at all times, but if you want to have a good time, it's nice to check in every once in a while. As you can see here, we already have a notification for market sell-off in trade region. You'll see some flavor text down here, but that's not very important. What is important is that you can see that it was an economic change, and the change was a market drop. What this means is that the markets in all of the trade region are selling stuff at cheaper prices. And that could be very important for someone who wishes to have a trade profession. The other notification we have here is a diplomatic exchange with contractor capital. These don't have much effect on the game so far, as faction ratings are still not fully implemented. Later on, however, factions will interact with each other, and these notifications may be very important. Other notifications can include changes to sector environment, new ships that are available in certain shipyards, and other variously generated events. The next tab we have is the market. The market is probably one of the most common screens you'll see in all of Astrox. Here you can have buy orders, we don't have any right now, sell orders, which we don't have any of right now, and these two are very important for people who wish to trade a lot. Buy orders are things that the station is buying, and they'll usually pay top dollar for these, if you can bring in the whole order. Sell orders are the exact opposite. They are things that the station is selling, usually at a great discount. By using these two wisely, you can probably trade yourself into being a very rich individual. Other than that, we have our sorting tabs, and this just helps declutter the market a bit so you can look for exactly what you want without scrolling through hundreds of items. Down here, we also have further sorting items. So say I want to go here. This is our active module screen. Active modules are your main interaction with the game. They give your ship certain abilities to do certain jobs or perform certain tasks. We'll get more to that later on. If you see, I can sort by level, and it will automatically sort from lowest level to highest level on the next page. Same will go for class and price. We'll do more on the market later on, as it is its own entire section of the game. We also have the refinery. The refinery is used when you collect ores from asteroids or gather salvage. You just plink it on in here from your cargo bay. Let me open that up with the tab key. Now, none of this can be put in the refinery, but asteroid ore and certain components can be, and it will then refine those into other components that can be used in various areas, such as construction and making other items. The garage is where you can view your current ship. You'll notice we have certain slots here. The in-game tutorial will explain to you how to switch your slots and implement items. And you'll have your little ship stats off to the side here. You can also repair your modules, your armor, check on your life support, and customize your ship to your liking, including engine color, ship color, and even your name. Next, we have the university. As I mentioned earlier, you start with certain skills. Skill points are earned when you level up or complete missions. You'll notice that there are quite a number of skills here, and once again, these are here for testing purposes. As the game is developed, there'll probably be a significant number less skills, especially in this particular station. You'll notice each skill has a monetary cost and a skill point cost. Some skills also require previous skills to be trained beforehand until you can actually use them. The storage. Stations that have a storage available will store a certain amount of product for free. Each item in the game has a certain size, which you'll see here in this listing, 7.795, which is 7.795 cubic meters. As you can see, this hardly makes a dent in the free space I get in this station. However, as you add more stuff, you'll gradually use up certain space, and you'll run out of room. When that happens, it's quite simple. You lease additional space, which will have additional cost, and will allow you to store more stuff. The shipyard tab has all the ships that are available in this particular station. As the game goes on, New ships will be added to every individual station as the event generator demands. As you can see, we have different sizes and costs of ship, and we'll get into that later on. But this is where a lot of your game progress will happen. Bigger ships get more module slots and better stats, allowing your ship to do more and survive longer in the Astrox universe. Fabricators are a more advanced option, where if you've bought an engineering spec from the market, these right here, they will give you a certain recipe, and if you have the materials necessary to make that recipe, you can make your own modules instead of buying them from the market. And then you can do as you please with them, either selling them or using them for your own gain. The Missions tab is very important. Contracts, which I currently have locked, which is something new, are a great source of money. Whatever job you choose to do, whether you're mining asteroids, killing raiders, or just doing search missions or transportation, these will add a nice little bonus profit to it, as well as giving additional skill points. They're not necessary by any means, but they do give a nice little boost to whatever you choose to do. The offices are quite barren right now. Currently, you can only find tutorials here. Later on, as you see here, you may be able to communicate with certain characters, in-game NPCs, and maybe some cheat codes, who knows. As you can see here, we have all the basics tutorials, which I highly recommend you go through at the first start. Astrox, once you get to know it, is fairly simple, but it's a really good thing to know where everything is so that you can find it later on. We also have the undock button, which will launch me from this station, which we'll get to in just a moment. And then we have the galaxy map. As you can see, the map is currently color-coded, and this is based on what faction currently controls that sector. As I mentioned a bit earlier, factions don't really have much purpose just yet, but in some of the coming updates, the initial storylines will begin being added for certain factions, and we'll probably see that change very quickly. Void Starcross is actually a very special case. As you can see here, it is colored orange, which is the color of the Alpha faction. In truth, Void Starcross is kind of a meetings of all the different sectors. As you can see, we also have green for the financial, red for the pirates, purple for the temples, yellow for the laborers, and blue for law, and another orange for the actual alpha sectors. Void Starcross is kind of a meeting place of all five, but for current purposes, it's just colored orange, because it can be. We will get into map options later on. As you may see, we have little arrows on the side of all these pages. These are all of your info screens. This top screen, System Navigation, will be used for longer trips. A certain map function is being able to activate your GPS by simply double-clicking on a certain map sector. We will get into that later, possibly. It might actually be covered by the navigation tutorial. Then we have our cargo, which has all the same sorting options as the marketplace, and is representative of everything our ship is carrying. As you can see up here, I have a limit of 310 cubic meters, of which I am already using 32.8. Each item, as I said before, has its own size, and items do stack, well, as many as you can carry. Down here, we have our missions panel. If you have multiple missions, you can scroll through, and it will give you a quick tutorial about what exactly you're doing and where you're supposed to go. Below that, we have your ship stats. This is just general info about the state of your ship. Shields, blue. Hull points, green. Your ship's energy, yellow. And your ship's life support, red. Also below that, you have your ship's thrust, its current speed, and its maximum speed. This panel actually has a lot of info hidden in it. As you notice here, we have a row of buttons, and these are all very important. The first one on the very left is your pilot info panel. Here you'll see your level, how many skill points you currently have available, some of your stats, and all of the skills that you currently know, or have a level in. Your faction standing page, so you can keep track of your faction standings. Any current missions, which you can click on to get a total mission overview, rather than the short splurge that's over here. Medals are achievements that also appear in Steam if you play on that. I'm not entirely certain, but the game is also available on GOG. I'm not entirely certain if that has achievements, but they will still pop up here, as they do have a monetary and skill point value. Your assets, the station storage, and the station shipyard can both hold some of your stuff. This screen will show you what station you have it in, and in what sector that station is available. Currently, as I have no assets, this page is blank, as everything is currently aboard my in-use ship. We have your general stats page, not very important, but sometimes fun to look at. Your fleet. This is for all of the mercs that you might have present. As I said, we'll go over mercs later, as they really are their entire own part of the game. Passkeys. These aren't entirely implemented yet, but the idea basically is some systems will be locked behind passkeys. You'll have to go and purchase these passkeys, or have a good enough faction relation in order to simply acquire them. This screen will summarize all the keys that you have. The next button we have is the ship overview panel, and this gives you a much more advanced rundown of all of your ship's capabilities and what's on it. As you can see from the top, we are a DE1, which is just the class and type of our ship. Now, your starting craft is actually a rather unique vessel, as it's kind of an all-rounder. However, an escort is the second smallest type of ship, the actual smallest being a shuttle, which you will have to purchase in a shipyard as you find it. And the first letter simply represents what type of vessel it is. In this case, we have a special class D, which is a basic escort. Typically, you'll have a B for battleships, which are more useful in combat, E for excavation ships, which are better for mining, and so on. Your maximum active modules, your maximum passive modules, a small ship splurge, and down here you have all of your actual ship stats. As you can see here, this gives you actual point values for all of the stats that you have down in the bottom left corner, and some specialer ship stats. One thing that does need to be mentioned here is engine burn. This is mostly a holdover from the original Astrox Hostile Space Excavation, or HSE, where ships actually used fuel before resorting to energy as a kind of backup fuel system. That has been removed in Astrox Imperium, as everyone typically went around burning energy anyway, basically not giving a crap about fuel to begin with. This may be removed later on, but we'll see where Momo decides to go with it. For now, your ship actually just uses energy to fly around. Mass, the size of your ship, can affect your maximum speed, and turn speed, your drone command for how many drones you can control, which are a more advanced option, your shield recharge rate, which currently is almost always 0.01, your energy recharge rate, your scanning range in meters, your scanning speed, a multiplier, armor regeneration, same as shield recharge, and in this section, we have all of your ship's resistances. Damage types are split into impact, energy, and explosive, and ECM is a special class, which represents a special class of modules and your resistance to their effects. And down here, the max targets is how many targets you can acquire at once before needing to delete some from your targeting. We'll get to that later on. Your life support tab is very important. Each sector has its own environment. As you can see right down here, each environment has a certain drain on your life support. This is an exact point values. A good idea on any ship is always to have the best life support that you can possibly have. Currently, the game starts you with 1 protein bar and 1 basic water filter. Now you may have just noticed that these numbers changed from a negative red number to a positive blue number. If you have decent enough equipment, you can actually negate the effects on your life support from any sector weather, on top of the effects that the life support item has on increasing your overall life support pool. This is very important because that means when you buy certain life support items, you should consider not only the bonus that they give to your overall life support pool, but the reduction in the overall effect of the environment on that pool. With decent enough items, you can even survive in certain dangerous sectors indefinitely, which is rather nice when it has rare stuff in it that you want to sit around and gather for a long time. Your toggle afterburner is a very important button. Every ship is equipped with a certain afterburner, and that simply burns additional energy in order to go faster. Pretty simple. Your toggle aft visions HUD, which is the window above this one, and your toggle journal button. Your journal represents just about everything that your pilot can do. You can see stations that you visited or scanned, structures that you visited or scanned, resources, ships you've owned or scanned, and just about everything else. As you can see here, it already notes that I have acquired a new mission from the tutorial 1. Now for the sake of getting this tutorial mission out of our way, that's not right, I will add on a second generic miner, and I'll show you what Astrox looks like outside. Actually, we'll save that for another video. I see here I've been going for almost 30 minutes now, holy crap. So this is the inside of stations. You should familiarize yourself very closely with each of these, and what services they actually have on offer. Some stations, like University, have almost the full kit and caboodle. You can do just about anything in these stations, and they usually make good hubs for when you're trying to sell off or buy a lot of stuff. Other stations, however, might have only a few options, or even be extremely limited, basically being as far as being a floating garage in space with nothing else, not even a market. In any case, that's all I have for this particular video. Good luck, have fun, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to join the Discord if you're not already a part of it. I'll have the link in the description below. Have a nice day.